So I'm putting the engine in the car today, and of course there are always little bits that you forget or don't realise need doing at the last minute. So, for example, the engine mount here on this right hand side, or the off side, has a bracket which I forgot to paint. I'm just painting that now. Hopefully it'll dry in time and I can just put it on there. And then put the engine in, which I guess I've got on the winch. And yeah, should go in today. And I'll just put a piece of wood across the the back of the engine, maybe where that cross member is, just to prop it up. I'm just knocking out the rivets here of this door. I've just taken off I've just drilled them through. So I've drilled them from the outside to drill the heads off. Heads that they just come off like that. And then I've taken this weather strip off, which I shall replace. And now I'm just using the center punch to knock out these rivets. So you also have to take these rivets out so you can get the floor pan out, which is what I'm doing. You can see it's totally rusted. It's rusted on both sides pretty badly, which is pretty typical, and I'm just taking those off so I can repair them. Right, so today I'm spending some time on the gearbox again. I started it, I don't know, middle of last year or so, and my recommendation is, if you start it, you should try and finish it, because when you start a job, you get to understand the way the gearbox works, and yeah, all the details, and you have all that information in your head. And if you stop and leave it for a few months and start something else, you just completely forget. So you sort of start from the beginning a little bit. So I've got the Haynes manual over there, and I'm sort of going back through it just to find my bearings again. But yeah, that's the idea, is to try and get as much of the gearbox together as possible today. I've also bought the gasket set, which I can't find, which is unsurprising, but I'm sure I'll find it at some point soon, and yeah, see how far we get. I'll make another video a bit later on to show you. Okay. So I've managed to put the gearbox so far back together. It's been a bit fiddly, especially when you don't know what you're doing. But the way I found was easiest to get the main shaft in first. It's actually what the Haynes manual says. Put the main shaft in first without the synchro mesh on the top. And I took the reverse gear out which you can't really see. No, you can't see it, but I took the foot. Yeah, there's the. I just put it on the end of my finger. That is the main shaft of the reverse gear. So I knocked that through, so it was loose in the hole, and then put the main shaft in, and then put the reverse gear in after. It just snags on the cogs of the main shaft otherwise. And then this goes in quite nicely. I had to heat up the main bearing, the rear bearing here, so that the main shaft just slid through. But as soon as I did that, just a little bit of heat with the blowtorch, it just slid right through, which is fantastic. Now I'm trying to get the bell housing on, working out the best way of doing that, because if you do it this way, I don't know if this is the right way to do it, but to do it this way, you can't put this cog on the top of here first, because that cog has to mesh with this cog in here, so you have to sort of fumble it together, not fumble it, but you know, just sort of put it on together, and then and do it that way. But yeah, getting there slowly. But of course now I don't know what I've done with these bolts. I've looked not everywhere, because obviously if I look everywhere I'll find them, but I can't find the other bolts anywhere at the moment, which is a pain, but we'll find them. So I've had this gearbox together and apart a good number of times. It's been pretty difficult work over the last couple of days. Yesterday was just an entire nightmare, which I won't even go into, but there we go, that is the nature of the project. So the issue that I found was quite simple and very annoying. It's the main shaft. I'd assembled as per somebody's instructions on the internet, and unfortunately it meant that one of the gear selectors with the synchro mesh on was the wrong way round. So it's very important to put everything back the way you found it. And even the photographs I'd made about a year ago, I'd even put them on I'd laid them out incorrectly. So that was most annoying, because I wasted a whole bunch of time and a seal, which was really annoying. Anyway, so I've done a dry run this time, which means I've taken out this bearing here, the lay shaft bearing, just to make, because it's a very tight fit and I think you have to heat it up and knock it in. So I've just done this just to make sure that it all fits this time, which it does. Everything turns freely and there's no gap there. Before I was getting a gap here, and when I tightened it up, the bell housing to the gearbox body, that is, all of the needle bearings on, where is it? Oh, under here, popped out, and it just sounded disastrous. And then when I pulled the main shaft out, the synchro mesh fell off and hit the concrete floor. So that's really annoying, because that's about £70 worth, and I hope I haven't damaged it. I've checked for any distortion and it seems okay. The only way I'll know is when I put it back together and drive it, and that's sort of too late. But anyway, this is a better day. Anyway. Noah, slow down.